Hey, what's up guys? This is DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a for hire deck profile. Now, this is a really interesting deck. I really like the way it plays. It kind of plays almost like Yugioh's in a way, and it's a very OTK based deck. It's actually becoming one of my favorite decks. I know the Furry agenda is being pushed with this deck, but it's a really fun deck, and I really recommend you guys actually try it. Don't knock this deck. It's a really fun deck. But anyways, let's get into this deck and see what I'm playing. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell down there. And so you can become part of the notification squad. And let's get straight on into this. This deck doesn't even really need an extra deck. Like, it's that easy to play. Like, it's one of the decks that you could give to a beginner and be like, here, I'm going to tell you how this plays. And you're going to play it. So let's get straight on into this and see what I'm playing. So first off, you're going to play 3 copies of Champion for hire. You've got to play 3 Champion for hire because it's the big boss monster of the deck. If he's special summoned, you can activate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of monsters for hire you control with different names except himself. And if you do, add one of the cards that you activated from your deck to your hand. Shuffle the rest of them back into the deck. His other effect is that when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can discard a card from your hand, discard 1 card for hire, negate the activation, and if you do, you just negate the activation. So, pretty cool effect. Really like him, and I like the way that they worded the text where you discard 1 card for hire. I really like that. It's just really fun. Then I play 3 copy of Wiz for hire. Sage for hire. This card's kind of like the counterbalance to Ruffle, which is, if this card is special summoned, you can gain 500 life points for each for hire monster you control with a different name except herself. And then when this opponent activates a spell or trap, see, this is the difference, you can discard 1 card for hire to negate the spell or traps effect, which is really neat. I really like that. Then I play 1 copy of Dinah because Dinah is a really big monster, and like Dinah Hero for hire is really cool. The reason we play 1 copy of Dinah is if he's special summoned, you can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard up to the number of monsters for hire you control except himself. No, including himself, excuse me. With different names. And you can also, once per turn, monsters you control, your opponent controls, cannot target monsters for hire you control with attacks except him, which is really nice because he protects your little ones, because we have a couple of little monsters in this deck that you don't want your opponent to attack, like Helmer, Donpa, and Recon. You don't want them to target for attacks because they're really small. Then we play 1 copy of Maverick for hire. Now, I was considering dropping her, but there's actually some OTKs with Maverick that you can special summon her, and I'll just get into her effect so you guys can kind of understand what I mean. If this card is special summoned, you can inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each monster for hire you control with a different name, except herself. And then also, once per turn, your opponent cannot target monsters for hire you control with card effects, which is really cool. The reason that we play 1 copy of her is because if we play her, we play every single for hire monster that there is, and on top of that, the effect of dealing life points to your opponent, if she's the last one you special summon out, you deal 2,000 points of damage to your opponent. And there's OTKs that you can inflict 9,600 points of damage to your opponent, and even upwards of 10,000 points of damage to your opponent by actually playing her at 1. And she's searchable off of Beat, Bladesman. So that's when we play 1 copy of her. Now, the rest of the hire monsters have special claws that you can actually like special summon monsters from your hand, which is nice. And I will read that in just a moment. So then we play 3 copies of Bravo Fighter for hire. Bravo is the literal biggest normal summoned monster in the deck at 1900. And during your main phase, you can special summon 1 for hire monster from your hand except another copy of himself. All of the normal summoned level 4 or lower ones contain that ability, which is kind of cool. So I'll just kind of skip over that. His other effect is that if a monster for hire is special summoned to your field while you control this monster, you can have all monsters for hire gain 500 attack and defense until the end phase of your next turn, or the end phase of this turn, which is really nice because some of your for hire monsters struggle with getting really big, so he helps them get a little bit of an oomph. The biggest they get, I think, is like 33, which is Champion gets to 33 with his effect. Then we play 3 copies of Seal Seal has the same effect as Bravo, except his other added effect is that you can add a for hire monster from your graveyard to your hand if you special summon one, which is nice. Then Beat Bladesman is kind of like the Stratos of the deck. It has the ability that you can add them from your deck to your hand, which is nice. And it searches all of them. That's why we play Maverick and Dinah at 1, because you can kind of do what you need to do. Like, if you need to banish something, you've got Dinah, and if you need to, like, inflict some burn damage to them, you play Maverick, which is, you know, why we do it. Then we play 3 copies of Helmer. Helmer is really, really interesting because Helmer's effect is that you can discard 1 card to 1 for hire or 1 for hire card to draw 1 card, which is really nice because, like, if you get a kind of a bricky hand and you draw a couple of these and you don't, like, for instance, if you draw 2 of your 3 Wiz and you draw a Helmer, you can activate Helmer's effect to discard a Wiz and then draw another one. And then if you draw, like, Mayhem for hire, you can bring back the Wiz, which is nice. Then we play 2 copies of Recon. Recon is the one that pops face down cards. Its effect is that you can target 1 set card on the field and destroy it, which is nice. And then Donpa, which is the final for hire monster we play, he lets you target face up cards on the field, which his effect is that you can target 1 face up card on the field and destroy it, which is nice. So that's basically your monster lineup. Pretty self-explanatory with a lot of them. Really, really fun deck. And let's get into the spells and see what we're playing. So, like I said, you guys should really give this deck a try. I really like it, but, I mean, it's really a lot of fun. Like, just being able to, like, spam out 5 monsters and just go, hey, let me show you how to pendulum summon. Just, like, you know, hit them with a bunch of monsters all at once. But that's something important to note. If you have, like, Donpa in your hand and you have a second Donpa, you can't do double Donpa. You have to do like Donpa and Recon and then Donpa again, but it doesn't benefit because you can only activate a pop effect once per turn. So that's when we're playing like just that many of them. So anyways, let's get straight on the spells. We don't play that many spells and traps in the deck, so let's get into that. It's basically monsters. Like, it's basically a big monster match. So we play 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Soul Charge, because this is our big revival of the deck. Like, you can, if you late in the game, you can revive a whole field of monsters and link them away if you want to. But like I said, you don't even need the extra deck with this deck. Like, you just spam a bunch of monsters on the field and attack your opponent. Like, that's the big play of this deck. 1 copy of Rhoda, because it searches Beat Bladesman. So, I mean, that's why we play it. 2 Twin Twisters, because we don't want to get Solemns in this deck, because if your opponent stops your normal summon, you're in a bad way. Like, I mean, you're in dire straits if your opponent stops your normal summon. Other cards that you could play in here would be like Double Summon. I actually thought about playing this in the deck at 2. If you find yourself running into problems where your opponent's blocking your normal summon a lot with like Solemn Strikes and stuff like that, drop the Twin Twisters, play 2 Double Summons, because it will make a difference. Then we play 3 copies of Mayhem for Hire. Mayhem for Hire is essentially Monster Reborn. You can target 1 monster for hire in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. So it's kind of like Back to the Front, but in a spell form. Really, really love Mayhem for Hire. It really helps out the deck because it can bring back some of your big boss monsters to kind of help out. Then I play 3 copies of Pot of Desires. This is literally the first time I have ever put Pot of Desires in any of my deck profiles. And I will tell you why. This deck does not... Okay, like, let me show you my logic behind this, okay? There are so many 3-ofs in this deck. It doesn't matter which ones you get. Like, it really doesn't. So, as long as you get 5 for hire monsters, you're not going to lose out. I don't think this card is good in combo-based decks, and that's what a lot of what I play is combo-based decks. I do, however, think it's good in this deck, and it can bait your opponent's Ash Blossom, and you don't really miss 10 cards with this deck all that much. So the 2 kind of like pluses in a way to get you the draws that you need. Because it can turn a 6-card hand into a 7-card hand, which is nice. And so that's why I play Pot of Desires in this particular deck. Do I think it's good in every deck? No, I don't. But do I think it's okay in for hires? I think it's kind of necessary in for hires because you need that extra draw in for hires. And they don't have any draw power in them. So that's when I play Pot of Desires. So that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps. Also, if you don't want to play this, play like 3 double summons or something like that. But like I said, you can also do the bamboo sword engine if you want to for draw power, but just find you something in this position if you don't want to play desires. Play something like the bamboo sword engine, or just play some draw power. Like, you need some sort of draw power in this deck because you need to have 5 monsters in hand. And you don't need to have like the ones that can't normal summon themselves. So then you play the Solemn Brigade, which is 1 Solemn Judgment, 1 Solemn Warning, and 2 strikes. I feel like you really need this in the deck. It really helps because it can stop your opponent and let you OTK your opponent really quickly. And then I play 1 copy of Training for Hire for all your higher needs. I play this for 1, the name. I love the name of it. And also the effect is really nice later in the game, that if a face-up monsters for hire you control is destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card effect, you can target one of those monsters in your graveyard and then special summon a monster from your deck that's a level lower, that has a lower level than the monster that was targeted by this effect. Which is nice. If your dragon gets destroyed, like if champion gets destroyed, you can special summon out like Dinah, or you can special summon out like Bravo, and then get yourself like some more attack power on the field next turn. But if you do this, like, it really helps. So as a one of, it's nice. Sadly, there's no way to search it, so that's why I played as a one of. But I mean, like, you don't need any more than 1 of this. It'll clog it more than that. So anyways, guys, that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. The extra deck you don't really need, so I'm just gonna kind of speed through it. You play 1 copy of Borreload because it's Borreload, 1 Sword Yugioh because you can regurgitate like a bunch of monsters on the field, 1 Nightmare Griffin because we just kind of play it because it's here, Firewall Dragon because Firewall Pass, that's the thing, you know, that wins games, so we do Firewall Pass. Topologic Trisbania, this hurts our opponent a heck of a lot more than it hurts us because we don't play a lot of back row. The worst thing that we set is Solemn Warning and Solemn Strikes in our Solemn Brigade, so this is the main one that I find myself going into. I just summon this and then hit my opponent's back row and then go in with all my for hire monsters. Decode Talker, because it's Decode Talker. Our Shiny Pony, which is Nightmare Unicorn, because we play all the nightmares in here just because. Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Goblin. I find myself using Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus a lot because I can like pop my opponent's stuff, and that helps. Goblin gets me an extra normal summon, so if I have like a bunch of for hire monsters in my hand, I'll use him to get another normal summon so I can just keep getting him out. 1 Underclock Talker, because it's the best Link 2 in the whole game in my opinion. 1 Nightmare Mermaid. Now you're thinking, I don't play Ibly, so why do I play this? The reason behind it is if my opponent gives me Ibly, I can get rid of this. I can get rid of their Ibly by making this. So, like, this is, like, more of a preventive card than anything. 1 Breaksword because you have Helmer and Beat. So you make it with that. 1 Super Quantal so I can pop back row with it. And then 1 number 64 Ronin Raccoon. So Sundayu, I don't know. Anyways, 1 Ronin Raccoon, because it makes a token and it makes it to be the biggest monster on the field, which is nice. So that's it for the extra deck, guys, and that's it for the deck profile. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed giving you guys this deck. It's a pretty good for hire deck. I really enjoy the way I'm one of the few people that likes the translation name. I know that's going to be probably an unpopular opinion, but I think it's funny. I really think that for hire is funny, and it's like, it totally, like, they knew that they were trying to make a joke about Furry, and like, it's just funny. I really like the deck though. It plays nice. It's really easy to pick up. It's not crazy expensive. You can get this deck for under $100. You don't even need an extra deck. Like, you could just take this deck and go, bam, I'm ready to go. So like, it's very beginner friendly of a deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell down there so you can become part of the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.